It's one thing to feel grounded when you are journaling on your couch, but what happens when your partner criticizes you? Or your parent says something that suddenly brings you back to being 10 years old? Or someone on the internet says something that makes you cringe and makes your blood boil? Every single time you are triggered, you are also being given a choice. Who do I want to be in this moment? That is the question. Hello and welcome to the Gratitude and Growth Podcast, your compass for a grateful and growth-filled life. I'm your host, Sarah Mittich. I'm an actor, a transformational life coach, and the founder of Gratitude and Growth. But above all, I am a wildly curious person, and I have spent over a decade researching and studying the worlds of mindset, somatics, spirituality, and self-discovery. All to understand why we do what we do, who we innately are, and how we actually become the person that we want to be. So whether you're driving or walking or just taking a break from your day, thank you so much for being here and for joining me as we explore what it is to be a human being in this lifetime. Hello, and welcome back to another episode. Today, we are talking about something that affects every single one of us. Relationships. Romantic, familial, friendships, professional relationships. Even our relationship with time, with money, with our body, with this very moment. Because here's the truth. We don't exist outside of relationship. We only know who we are in relation to something else. And that is exactly what makes relationships the greatest opportunity for growth. Not because they are easy, but because they reflect everything that still needs work in us. Everything that's still unhealed, unchosen, or unclear inside of us. Look, it's easy to feel peaceful and grounded when you're alone in your routines. But then life throws a trigger at you. Maybe from someone you love, maybe from a total stranger, and suddenly you are face to face with your growth edge. That is the beauty of relationships. So today I want to dive into why relationships are mirrors, why healing in solitude can only take you so far, and how every single relationship is your opportunity to choose who you want to be. So let's get into it. You do not experience life in a vacuum. You only know yourself through relationship. You know yourself as kind because someone needed your compassion. You know yourself as triggered because someone pressed a button or pressed a wound. You know yourself as joyful because something or someone activated that joy in you. So when we say relationship, we're not just talking about romantic partners. We are talking about every single interaction, every connection that reveals something about who you are. Even when you're alone. Even when you're alone, you are still in relationship to your thoughts, to your breath, to your inner critic, to silence, to your past, to your nervous system. The list goes on. There is no you without the reflection of something else. That is why I believe that relationships can be our biggest assignments for growth and our greatest spiritual assignments. They don't just happen to us. Relationships also happen for us because they give ourselves the chance to see ourselves way more clearly. Let's be honest, it is so much easier to feel healed when there is no one testing you or testing your growth. When you're alone, when you're in your routines, you're in a controlled environment and it's comfortable. You're not being triggered. You're not being interrupted by someone. You're not being stretched by someone or something. And there is value in that season. Solitude is sacred. Trust me, I love my solitude. And it is in solitude that awareness really begins because there's so much reflection. But the real test is when that inner peace meets the outer world that doesn't always reflect it back to you. It's one thing to feel grounded when you are journaling on your couch. But what happens when your partner criticizes you? Or your parent says something that suddenly brings you back to being 10 years old? Or someone on the internet says something that makes you cringe and makes your blood boil? Do you abandon yourself in that moment? Do you react? Or do you take a breath and respond from presence? And as always, this isn't about perfection. It is about recognizing the mirror. Every single time you are triggered, you are also being given a choice. Who do I want to be in this moment? That is the question. I try and live by this question every single day. It's vital because it also reminds you that it is your power and it is your choice. Yes, look, we have defaults. Yes, reprogramming does take time. Like I said, not about perfection. But you get to decide who you want to be in this moment and in this situation. In the moment when your loved one gets thrown a curveball, or when your parent gets sick, or when your friend confronts you about something. And here's the thing, every relationship you have is reflecting something back to you. That's what I mean by it's a mirror. So if you constantly feel unseen by other people, then are you truly seeing yourself? If you're constantly feeling disrespected by those outside of you, around you, are you setting clear boundaries? If you feel judged, this is a big one. Are you judging parts of yourself? Now, this doesn't mean we deserve mistreatment, okay? Boundaries and standards are important, but it does mean that how we respond is always an invitation. So I had a moment a few months ago where someone I love deeply said something that just hit a nerve, and I could feel it, right? That rush of heat in my chest, the immediate defense rising. And so my old pattern would have been potentially to lash out or to just completely shut down. But in that moment, I asked myself, okay, who do I want to be in this? Not what do they deserve, not how do I get them to understand, but who am I choosing to be right now? And what is this showing me about myself? Those questions are freedom. They put the power back in your hands. The purpose of a relationship is not to find someone who completes you. It is to have a space in which you can decide who you are over and over and over again. That's what we're here to do. Decide who we want to be and then go and be that. And look, triggers aren't the enemy, okay? They are the messengers. Again, it's a mirror. Your triggers will show you what still needs work and what's tender and what still needs healing, what still needs your attention or your love, but only if you're willing to look. Only if you are willing to pause and reflect instead of react and blame. Some reflection prompts I've used when I do feel activated in relationship are these. So, what story am I telling myself right now? That's a big one. Is this about them or is this something deeper in me? And what is this moment asking me to practice? Is it forgiveness, boundary, compassion, finding my own truths? One of the most powerful practices you can have in any relationship is ownership. Not ownership of the other person's behavior, but ownership of your response. When you stop making other people responsible for your peace, that is when you reclaim your own power. And when you start using every single interaction as a mirror, you essentially accelerate your growth. Every relationship is a practice. That's how I look at them. A practice in patience, presence, truth, listening, compassion, boundaries, you name it. And in every moment, you get to ask, how would the next version of me show up in this? Would she snap back? Or would she breathe first? Would he collapse? Or would he stand firm in what he knows? Would I avoid discomfort or stay with it long enough to learn something? That is the work. That's what the work looks like in real time. Not on some glorious mountaintop, but in the very messy, very, very messy middle of human connection. So if a relationship is stretching you right now, good. That means it's working. Not working in the way that your ego wants it to work, but working in the way that your soul needs. Working in the way that you need to grow. So, here is your gentle challenge this week, should you choose to accept it. Choose one relationship. One, romantic, platonic, familial, even a challenging coworker. And every single time you interact with them this week, or before you interact with them, ask yourself, who do I want to be in this moment? You don't need to fix them. You don't need to change them, and you don't need to explain yourself to them. Just practice showing up as the version of you that you want to be. And maybe that means setting a boundary, right? It doesn't mean like showering everybody in love, but maybe it does mean softening. Maybe it means saying nothing and just breathing through it. And if you do get triggered, great! Pause, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, what is this moment showing me about myself? You're not failing if you get reactive, okay? You are human. Let's get that straight. There's no spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity here. We are going to be triggered. We are human beings. You can do all the work you want on yourself, but life will always throw you a curveball. That's just life. You can't control that. The growth is in the return. The growth is deciding who you want to be in relationship to what is going on. Relationships are not here to complete you. They are here to reveal you. They are your greatest mirror. And like I said, they're your greatest chance to decide again and again who you want to be. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up, as always, with something I'm grateful for and something I'm growing through. This week, I'm grateful for the people who do challenge me, because they do truly show me where I still have work to do. And they show me where I've grown. And I'm grateful to know that growth is never ending. And I'm growing through learning to hold on to what I know as my truths in moments of upheaval in other people's lives. So not being swayed by my own love for other people or my own ego, but staying true to the tools that I know, the truths that I know, and living by them. Even in times when it's more difficult. Even in times where maybe I want to compromise my own truths and sway. So I'm growing through that right now as certain things in my external life are changing, of reminding myself that my truths are mine and they work for me. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, stay grateful and keep growing. Bye for now. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this episode resonated, send it to someone you love. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you're craving deeper support, the G&G Studio is here for you with mindset work, movement, breath work, guided meditations, and a like-minded community. It has all the tools and support you need to grow, all in one place. And the best part, you get to move at your own pace in your own way. You can explore the G&G Studio anytime at www.gratitudegrowth.com. And hey, if you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts and you send me the screenshot, I will send you a free exclusive guided meditation called Gratitude for Growth as a thank you gift for supporting the show. Your subscribes, reviews, likes, comments really help get this content out to even more people, so your support truly does go a long way. You can find the form to submit in the show notes. And I hope to see you back here soon as we continue to explore this wild and beautiful thing that we all call